Welcome back to the Retro Craptacular podcast. For each month, we continue our search for the best bad movies on the planet Earth. I am your host, Aaron, and I am joined, as always, by Matt. Hello, Matt. Hello.
Hi. I didn't know that there were that many H's in welcome before.
Well, you've never been welcomed by me, have you?
I guess not properly, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, you're very welcome.
Oh God. How are you doing, Aaron?
No, not bad. Not bad.
Cool. That's a great. I love the kind of medium energy that we tend to bring to our podcasts.
Yeah.
I feel occasionally there've been maybe 5 out of the 60 or something. How many have we done?
This is number 71.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. We're like a real podcast now.
Is that all it takes? Is that you just have to put out a certain number? And then you're...
I guess so. I mean, if most podcasts release on a weekly basis, we've passed the year mark, even though we've been doing it for 6 years or 7 years or whatever this is.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Cool.
Almost 7, I think.
Almost 7. Yeah.
We started in 2017.
Wild.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And I still got a stack of DVDs we got to get through before we can call it quits. So
okay, so yeah, this is like a till death do we stop.
Yeah, because if we don't review them, I can't write them off on my taxes. So we have to do it for tax reasons.
We got to do it for your financial well-being.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm on board.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, this is our spooky season, Halloween, Friday the 13th.
Yeah, October.
Bad luck episode. It's the October episode.
Yeah, Friday the 13th. I feel like we've done a Friday the 13th on a Friday the 13th kind of deal before, haven't we?
Yeah, I think I try and
just keep an eye on the calendar.
Keep an eye on the calendar if there's a Friday the 13th one. Yeah.
Fun. Well,
it's kind of a thing, but before we get into that.
Oh yeah, we don't want to jump straight into the horse's mouth.
No. We want.
That's the thing that they say. Want to keep that horse waiting.
Yes. Don't keep a gift horse waiting.
In the mouth. Ooh.
So
I take back the mid energy. There's a bit of a weird energy.
There's a bit of a weird vibe. Well, okay. I came over pretty much right after work. I ate an entire party tray of sushi by myself while we watched this movie. So I might be the first person to ever be recording a podcast while in some sort of food-induced coma. Just kind of how it feels. So I'm trying to keep the energy levels up, but every part of my body is telling me to lie down.
Lie down now. Lie down stat.
So if you could be horizontal and just focus on digesting, that'd be great. But
we did talk about one day we should record an entire podcast while lying down and not looking at each other.
Yeah.
But I don't think today's that day because I already set up the mics and I don't want to move.
I feel like we recorded one when we were doing the long distance ones. I feel like one of them I did in bed.
Did you?
I feel like maybe.
That's amazing. I don't remember.
Or
There's been 70 of them.
It was when we would watch the movie together.
Oh,
I think we watched one of them and I was like, I'm just gonna sit in bed on my laptop and do that.
Legit.
Yeah. Anyways, speaking of sitting in bed and watching things.
Hey.
What have you been watching? We're going to talk about Ahsoka, right?
Yeah, I mean, should we just talk about Ahsoka now, or do you want to hear about anything else?
I mean, do you got anything else?
I
got a weird thing, but you can go first.
I don't know. I feel like kind of tying into Ahsoka. I feel like when it comes to Star Wars and Marvel, which obviously we've talked about a lot, they have a lot of media, and we've both been fans of their things in the past. Mm-hmm. It's just kind of enough already. Enough with the garbage. There's so much bad stuff. And I think last time we talked, I mentioned I watched all of Marvel's garbage stuff because I was really sick for a while, and I love superhero stuff when I'm sick. And I watched Miss Marvel and She-Hulk and
Oh yeah, were you watching Secret Wars? Was that?
Secret Wars I watched as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was all just kind of like bad.
Yeah.
Whereas like even it was just like lackluster. It was like at worst it was just bad, and at best it was like kind of interesting but felt pointless. And yeah, to that, but like the thing that's annoying is that they keep just bringing me back in because I watched all this Marvel stuff. Like, okay, I'm done with Marvel. Like, whatever, this is garbage. But season 2 of Loki's coming out in a little bit, and I watched some more. I rewatched Loki season 1, and was like, this was interesting to me. I was actually interested in this.
It was interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, and so I'm like, is it gonna be good? And in that same kind of vein, Star Wars has been putting out garbage after garbage, with the exception of Andor. That was actually really cool.
Yeah.
But then, Ahsoka comes out, and I'm like, oh, but is it gonna be good though? Because like Ahsoka's a super interesting character, and they're also got those rebel characters in there. It's like I feel like there's some potential. And so I did watch it, despite thinking that it's probably all going to be garbage from here on out forever.
Well, no, because Andor season 2 is coming.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And they've signed Tony Gilroy to like a first look deal to produce more Star Wars shows.
Oh, sure, but what does that mean these days?
I don't know.
It means nothing. The answer is nothing.
But I mean, they know that Andor has resonated with a significant portion of the fan base.
Oh, good.
I feel like they know that.
I don't assume that they know anything.
I mean, fair enough. But I mean, to be fair, Mandalorian also resonates with a significant portion of the fan base. So it's like, I think they're kind of. I mean, and maybe this is a good thing. Maybe they're realizing like, oh, we can serve both audiences.
I mean, that is a good lesson ultimately.
Yeah.
Because their fan base is too big and too divided.
It's super broad, right?
And when you try to please everyone, you actually please no one, and you make episode 9.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like they even burned a lot of the like I feel like a lot of people were forgiving of Mando season 2. I don't think as many people were as forgiving of Mando season 3.
I hope not.
Just based on what I've seen online and stuff like that, people are kind of like, yeah, that's not for me.
Are they making more Mandalorian?
Maybe. Well, okay, so here, yes, in some version they will, because
they just need to find another character to be the main character.
Yeah. No,
while Din Djarin hangs out with them.
So, okay. Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka. And is there another show? Oh, it was going to be Rangers of the New Republic, but then Gina Carano got canceled for comparing being conservative to being a Jew during World War II.
Yes, I heard about that.
Yeah. And so they were like, hi, no. You go bye-bye now.
Yeah.
And then she got to star in a movie with Ben Shapiro. So good for her. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
She went from potentially being the star of her own Disney Plus series to like being at the bottom of the Walmart bargain bin, and someone picks up the DVD and goes, nah, and chucks it back.
Is that where Ben Shapiro is?
Yeah, he just lives under there. He lives going, Barbie is woke anti-men crap, and I don't like it. And everyone's like, shut the fuck up. Here, have a copy of Gremlins 2.
Do people really think that Barbie is anti-men?
Ben Shapiro does, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's Ben Shapiro. Okay, specifically Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
Because I watched that movie, and it's not.
It's not. No, it's not.
Well, yeah, I watched Barbie. That was the thing that I was going to bring up. I watched Barbie. Yeah,
what do you think?
It was fantastic.
Oh, okay.
It was... Oh, God. It was... I mean, I have a lot of feelings about it, actually. It was very... It was weird. It was a weird space to be in because it was extremely funny for a lot of it, and also extremely troubling.
See, I didn't find it that funny.
Really? Oh yeah, we talked about.
Yeah.
You didn't. Yeah, you didn't enjoy it that much.
And even well, it's not that I didn't enjoy it. I didn't think it was that funny. And even like the cinema I was in, there wasn't like a lot of like raucous laughter.
Oh, okay.
I'd say there's like smattering of chuckles here and there, but
It's always hard for me to tell because I'm the loudest laughter wherever I am.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I can't hear other people laugh. But no, I thought it was very funny. I really enjoyed it, and yeah, it was really kind of it was so interesting that like
It's a weird movie.
it's very weird and like upsetting, and it's great because it's upsetting in so many ways, and then it kind of like flips it around to the other side, you know, because it's like Barbie Land is run by women, and the Kens feel downtrodden, and then that flips around in Barbie Land because Kens learn that men run the real world.
Yeah.
And it destroys Barbie Land. And a lot of the plot is about restoring it to what it was. Right? Restoring Barbie Land to what it was. And what it was, as you kind of like flip it around and you see, and we kind of learn about the Kens' like emotional states and how like, oh, like they were in a bad way.
Yeah.
And they sought change. And once that change is taken away and they're like grateful just to get like a single seat on the council kind of thing in the end, you realize in that, like as an audience member, you realize like, oh, Barbie Land wasn't great because it was also unequal.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
yeah,
that's really, that's why I didn't think it was anti-men. It was pro equalism, and there was none of it.
100% is. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Like I said, it's the best version of a Barbie movie we'll ever get, probably.
Oh yeah.
I don't think you can do a better version of that because it's a bad idea from the beginning to do a Barbie movie. But yeah. Going back to Ahsoka though.
Right.
What are your thoughts? So you've only seen, I mean, by the time this episode comes out, all of the show
Oh, right.
will have aired.
So people will be listening to it and be like, you don't even know.
Yeah. So yeah, okay, so full disclosure, we're recording this about a month in advance. But we will be releasing it on Friday the 13th in October.
That's showbiz, baby.
That's just showbiz, baby. Just we had a window and we took it.
Yeah, so
we're on episode 5 just aired on Tuesday.
And I've seen 4.
That's Thursday, and you've seen 4.
Yeah. I don't know. I think ultimately, I'd say my overall opinion is that it's pretty blah.
Yeah.
It's like, it honestly like the show starts with the villains. And the villains, to me, seem interesting.
They do seem interesting, don't they?
Yes. And I'm like, okay, what's up? What's up, Big Daddy Balin? I want to know what your deal is. And what's up, Phoebe Bridgers? Why did you become a Sith? And I want to know. Like, I'm interested to learn more about them. But obviously, the show is not about them. And I haven't learned anything about them yet. And instead, the show is about Ahsoka. But like...
But it's not?
But it's not. Which is like... I mean, the problem that they've been having with all of their shows that aren't Andor is like... Focus. But like... What am I trying to say? What am I trying to say, Aaron? What am I trying to say?
Well, so I understand.
Wait, I thought of it.
Yeah.
Shut up, it's my turn.
Great.
I think that, and to be fair, I haven't watched all of Rebels or much of Rebels. But I think a part of my feeling watching the show was like, oh, if I hadn't watched the Clone Wars, I wouldn't give any shits at all. And if I had watched Rebels, I'd probably give more shits. This show kind of seems like it's for people who have watched both of those things.
Definitely. It's a show that assumes you did the reading the night before.
Yeah,
You know,
very much so.
Yeah, you showed up to class on Monday, and your professor's like, "Did you do the reading over the weekend?" You're like, "I didn't know we had a reading to do."
Classic.
Having seen Clone Wars and Rebels in their entirety, and having rewatched Rebels recently with my partner in preparation for Ahsoka coming out,
You did do your reading the night before.
I did do my reading the night before. Mostly for their sake because they have not seen any of this stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I gave them like a crash course in Clone Wars where I'm like, here's all of the episodes you should watch because they're not all important. Because that show will just be like, here's a 5-arc episode about R2D2.
Yeah, that's right.
Going on a secret mission with like a little frog guy. Yeah, the little weird frogman arc. Very strange.
Yeah, that show was a bit weird at times.
And so we skipped a lot of the fat of Clone Wars because they were like, okay, I just need to like know who Ahsoka is, like who this character is.
Mm-hmm.
So we watched most of the Ahsoka centric stuff, and then watched all of Rebels, and it's definitely helpful in that now I know who these characters are. But the characterization of them does not seem true to the characters as they were in those shows.
Interesting.
With the exception of Hera.
Okay.
Hera and Chopper are pretty well translated from the cartoons. Sabine, a bit.
Yeah, I from what I remember about Rebels, Sabine was like the cool one, right? Isn't she supposed to be really cool? Because she's like kind of punk.
Yeah.
She spray paint stuff.
She changes her
she's
hair.
also a Mandalorian.
She changes her hair. She does street art, and she's a Mandalorian.
Yeah.
And like, what's very clear is that Dave Filoni just has a hard-on for Mandalorians.
Oh, that was very obvious. Yes.
Yeah. So much of the Clone Wars was focused on them.
Oh yeah.
They came back in Rebels. So what's interesting to me is we're supposed to know these characters. I feel like we know them, but then there's this whole new element thrown in there of Sabine is Ahsoka's apprentice.
Okay, so was that not in the
Never.
show? Okay,
Never
because
thing.
I thought that seemed really out of left field.
Yep.
I thought that was really weird. And it was like, oh, I guess I never finished Rebels, and they did a weird thing where they wanted to give a Mandalorian a lightsaber again.
Yeah, so I mean, she gets the Darksaber at one point, and does some lightsaber training with Ezra and Kanan.
Okay.
I don't think Ahsoka was there for that. Basically, they're trying to like reunite the tribes of Mandalore, kind of doing what Bo-Katan
Right.
wanted to do. It also fucking contradicts its own lore. So in Rebels, Sabine just hands Bo-Katan the Darksaber.
What?
She's like, here, you are the true rightful leader of Mandalore. You should lead. And Bo-Katan's like, fucking damn right. Give me that. And then she's like, I got the Darksaber. I'm the leader. And everyone's like, yay.
What?
And I'm like, well, okay, whoa, 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 whoa. Back it up. Because at the end of Mandalorian Season 2, it's all like, oh, it's not a gift to be given. It has to be won in combat, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So that's weird. They're already contradicting themselves
Yeah.
in their own show, but
So wait, in Rebels, Bo-Katan got the Darksaber?
correct.
And then in Mandalorian, Bo-Katan got the Darksaber.
Correct.
Does she just keep losing it?
Yeah, she lost it to Moff Gideon.
Oh, that's stupid.
That's explained in The Mandalorian.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah. Yeah, because Moff Gideon was the one that did the purge on Mandalore. And she surrendered to him in the hopes that he would spare
Oh, because
They're people, and then
surrender to me and I'll spare you, everyone.
Yeah,
Classic villain move.
Yeah, and then he just took the Darksaber and then nuked everybody.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
also Giancarlo Esposito is amazing.
He is, but like, I don't know. This feels like there's nothing for him to do in that show. This is what I kind of feel like everyone who casts Giancarlo Esposito now, they're all like, oh, we want a cool bad guy like Gus Fring. And everyone's going to be like scared of him, be like, whoa, who's this bad guy? He's so crazy. Like, what's he going to do? And
they forget to write a good character.
And then they forget that there was an episode of Breaking Bad called Box Cutter, where you see how fucking unhinged Gus Fring can get, and you understand why the fuck everyone's scared of Gus Fring. And they didn't write the Box Cutter episode of Mandalorian.
It's just everyone's scared of Moff Gideon. Accept it.
Yeah, he shows up and he knows Din Djarin's name.
Yeah.
You know, and he had the Darksaber at the end, and like, whoa. Who's this guy?
Well, at least he's got gravitas.
Yeah, like he's a good actor, and he does like a good like mustache twirly.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm so evil and bad, but like there's nothing behind that.
Yeah, you still need to write a good character.
They're assuming that everyone's seen Breaking Bad, and they're like, whoa, he's scary. It's like, no. He's actually kind of like a friendly looking guy.
Yeah.
But
my favorite thing that I've ever seen him on is College Humor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's also in Do the Right Thing.
Is he?
Yeah, he's bugging out. He's the guy who's all freaking out because someone spilled something on his Jordans.
What?
Yeah. That's Giancarlo Esposito.
I need to go watch that after this.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Amazing.
So my thing with Ahsoka is like they're like clearly it's a show that requires you to have done the reading, like I said, but then it throws in stuff that wasn't in the reading.
It's like why is there algebra on my Latin test?
Yeah, well, it's like read chapters 1 through 4 of Rebels before class. Like, okay, I read the chapters. Like, all right, so now if you remember in chapter 5, Sabine becomes Ahsoka's apprentice. Like, whoa, hold on, I missed that. I didn't read chapter 4. It's like, well, it's too late. We're moving on. So,
yeah, that is what it felt like.
So that's never been addressed. So it's these two characters who we've seen in animation but never in live action together. They have a previous history that we've seen in animation but not in live action. And then they're talking about a different history that we've never seen in any format. And
yeah,
it feels like he wanted these characters to all be on this adventure together, but he needed to give them some connective tissue because there wasn't that connective tissue for these particular characters in Rebels. And so he's trying to like force it a little bit.
Did he not like have enough episodes to like show us something, or
I don't know, because I mean he said like I was at Star Wars Celebration in 2017.
Oh yeah.
When he was kind of introducing the final season of Rebels, and he's like, I've decided to end it after 4 seasons because I've done shows and not gotten to finish them before, and I know how much that sucks. And I don't want to have that same thing happen with this show.
Yeah.
So that was his kind of like reason for ending it. So I don't know if that truly was his call or if there was some other, behind the scenes directive to like, the show's ratings are down. We need to wrap it up, or if you want to wrap it up, you better do it this season because you're not getting another one, kind of thing. So I don't know what the actual reason was, if it was his call or not. He says it was. So yeah, I don't know. It feels forced and weird to me.
Yeah, there's not a lot of yeah, I didn't feel the motivation or see the chemistry, and it was like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know.
the thing. They don't really have any chemistry together. Um,
Yeah.
the girl that plays Sabine, I think, is good. And obviously Rosario Dawson's a great actress,
Oh yeah,
but
she's fantastic.
she's playing Ahsoka like so stoically.
Yeah, okay. I That's something I really wanted to bring up. I don't remember Ahsoka being so boring.
No, like she's actually like Ahsoka's a very earnest character.
Yeah.
You know, like she puts her heart on her sleeve, kind of, right? Like,
Yeah, she has from the beginning, and she was super annoying at first, and then
yeah,
you kind of like learn to love her, and then she walks away from the Jedi Order because she has so much integrity.
yeah, and so even like going from End of Clone Wars to Rebels, um, you know, like the character is different and is changed. She's a bit older, she's a bit wiser, she
Mm-hmm.
has more experience, she's a bit more world weary. Um, but I don't think that like enough would have happened between Rebels and this show for her to become so like sullen. You know, like she's very dour.
Yeah.
And it's a really weird choice, and she's missing that spark of life.
Yes.
I think that makes like Ashley Eckstein's portrayal of the character um so cool and unique and relatable.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not watching the same character, and I don't have the same kind of emotional attachment to this character that I did with the animated version.
Yeah, and it's like I think a part of it too is like all of these other shows that have been sucking have had lead characters who are written very stoically.
Yeah.
And so it just feels like another in a long line of poorly written quote unquote main characters.
Yeah.
And also, this show, Ahsoka, has two very stoic characters in them. One is Ahsoka, and one is Balin.
Yeah.
And to see them so different from each other when like Ahsoka is supposed to be the main character and it's like not feeling a connection, and then Balin is super stoic but speaks his mind and says some things that are pretty interesting that you're like,
Yeah.
what is this guy's deal?
Yeah. You've never been let into this version of Ahsoka's mind.
Mm-hmm.
There's never really been a scene where I feel like she sits down with Sabine or Hera or Huyang or whoever and is like, man, I'm really fucked up right now, man. Like, if we like there's a scene in episode 4 where she talks to Sabine about a potentially very hard choice that they're going to have to make, which
Right.
is, if we can't get to Ezra before our enemies do, or before our enemies get to Thrawn, then maybe no one should make this trip.
Yeah.
Like, for the sake of the greater good. And you know, and I think this is something that Ezra would agree with. Would be, if we can't bring him back, then we should destroy the map, and then no one can get to Thrawn.
Yeah.
You know, and that is really kind of played off in like 2 sentences, where I'm like, this is your chance for them to have like a big, like, heart to heart moment. You know, like, this is a master and apprentice moment where it's like, look, kids, sometimes things don't always work out exactly the way we want them to, and life is having to make sacrifices, and being a leader is having to make the hard choices that other people can't make.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's that's a good teachable moment, but it's just like, well, you know, we might have to destroy the map and then no one can get there, and then Sabine's just like, it's not going to come to that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it might though.
Real missed opportunity.
Yeah. So I think that's part of my problem. And then if I can talk about episode 5 for just a second.
Yeah, go for it.
You saw at the end of the episode, Hayden Christensen's back.
Yep.
Don't worry, they don't do the weird digital face shit to him the whole time.
Okay, good. Because
if they do,
it gets better.
They spent all the money on that episode and not a lot on the other one because
okay.
It looks way better. But basically, he returns through the Force or something. They're in the world between worlds, and he returns to give her her final lesson.
Okay, because he's a Force ghost.
Maybe.
Yeah, wait, when is this movie set again?
So it's 5 years after Return of the Jedi. So he is dead.
Yeah. And he did
Force Ghost, but they're also in the world between worlds, which is a weird kind of...
Yeah, I kind of skipped over the part where you said that and pretended I knew what you were talking about, and I don't.
Oh, because you haven't seen Rebels all the way through.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Okay, wow, I have to fucking do this? Okay.
Is this where there are space whales, or is that a different thing?
Oh, no, there's space whales in a different place.
Okay.
Don't even worry about it. So at the end of Rebels...
Also, quick side note. Do space whales always make you think of Star Trek, or is it just me?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
Thank you. Please continue.
So... the space whales show up in partway through Rebels, and then they come back at the end. Ezra calls them using the Force. They grab onto the Star Destroyer that Ezra and Grand Admiral Thrawn are on, and they warp off into unknown space through hyperspace.
Right, which is where they are in this show.
So that's how Rebels ends.
By Force calling the whales.
Yeah. Before that, they found on Lothal a painting on an ancient temple wall or something like that is of the father, the daughter, and the son of Mortis.
Okay.
Which you may remember there was a Clone Wars arc where they end up on this planet called Mortis. It's inhabited by 3 beings. The father, and then the son and the daughter. And the daughter represents the light. The son represents the dark side.
That does sound familiar.
Yeah. So they find a painting. Something happens and the painting changes and it opens a portal into this quote unquote world between worlds. Which is kind of what it sounds like. And Ezra finds a doorway where he can hear a lightsaber fight going on, and he sees Ahsoka, and he grabs her and he pulls her through the door. And she was fighting Darth Vader in the Sith Temple before the Sith Temple collapsed. And so he pulls her out, and they see, Kanan right before he dies. And he dies using the Force basically to hold off an explosion that's going to wipe out the Ghost. And he saves the crew and he sacrifices himself, and Ezra's like, oh, we can save Kanan, and she's like, well, if you save Kanan, then you're going to die. Like, we can't mess with the timeline, man. There's rules to this shit. And so she ends up going back in through the same door that he pulled her out of. She's like, I can't come with you. I have to go back here, or else everything is going to be like, it could have, dire consequences. So when I saw that's where she ended up at the end of episode 4, I was like, fuck, where is this going? Because I was like, don't bring time travel into this crap. Like,
oh yeah,
Star Wars doesn't have time travel. It doesn't need time travel. And thankfully they don't do that in episode 5. Basically, they do like a series of flashbacks to the Clone Wars, with Anakin and Ahsoka, where she's a little girl, but she's aware of the fact that they're in a memory or something like that, and he's trying to teach her this lesson, which is, what's the lesson?
Clearly, it wasn't very impactful.
It's not very clear. So he's basically your choice is live or die, and then they start having like a lightsaber fight, and then they end up in the Clone Wars, and they're like, he's wearing the Clone Wars armor, which is kind of cool. See that in live action, but
bit of fan service.
A little bit of fan service. It's kind of cool. It's neat. I thought maybe they were gonna do it in Obi-Wan. I wanted to see like a flashback with Anakin and Obi-Wan. And so that actually is a good segue into my main issue with this.
Okay.
Which is, we are watching characters that have a long history together.
Yeah.
The actors portraying these characters have never met before. And so at least for me, and I don't know if anyone else feels this way, it feels a lot different than when in Obi-Wan we see Hayden and Ewan together on screen. It's these are old friends.
Yeah.
I'm seeing old friends again. And I don't get that when I see Hayden and Rosario on screen. Or Hayden and whatever this little girl's name is that plays young Ahsoka. They don't have any chemistry together. Whereas like for Hayden and Ewan, it's just like, they turn it back on. And they are those characters again.
Oh, do you think that's like an acting thing, a writing thing, a directing thing?
I think it's a little bit of all three of those things.
Oh, yeah.
If the actors, good actors can play anything, right?
That's what makes them good actors.
That's what makes them good actors. So it's a little bit in the writing. I think Dave Filoni is writing these characters the way he would write them for, Matt Lanter and actually Eckstein to play. He's writing what he thinks would be the next step for these characters, but I don't think he's a very good director of actors. Because there's just nothing. Both Rosario and Hayden feel like they have nothing to go off of with each other. Like there's nothing there for either of them to. Like it feels like they don't know their own characters' histories, kind of. And so like I don't know if they've never seen. I thought Rosario said that she watched all the Clone Wars and stuff before taking the part. I don't know. There's a big disconnect for me, and I don't feel very attached to anyone in this show.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good way of putting it. I think watching this show just felt like a very passive activity.
Yeah.
It was not engaging.
And we still got 3 episodes left. I think there's still time to turn it around. I'm hoping that once we get to the final episode, everything will kind of come together, maybe. I don't know.
You fool. You hold on to hope when there is nothing but despair.
But it also feels kind of like a show that should be binged.
That's fair.
Because I know after episode 3 ended, I was kind of like, what, that's it? They have a little space battle. She does some flips in space, and then there's nothing.
And then they just get back in and they fly away.
Yeah, and then that's the end of that episode, and then
Yeah, it does seem like if you could binge it and you don't have as much time to digest between episodes, then overall maybe it would feel a little bit better. But
Yeah, because I mean,
here we are.
like think about like Stranger Things. Stranger Things is a really good show, but I don't think back to like individual episodes of Stranger Things, really, right? I'm like, oh, season 3 of Stranger Things is really good. You know, it's like a season as a whole. And I think my issue with a lot of these Ahsoka episodes is that they have a beginning and a middle, and then they end. But they don't have an ending.
Yeah.
You know. So episode 5 was the first one that kind of felt like it had an ending.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah, I don't know. I'm still curious to see where it goes. But I'm skeptical about what their plan is, because I know this whole like Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, they're all supposed to tie into like they're like a mini universe within Star Wars, like a connected series.
Yeah, I guess just because some of the characters have met Din Djarin, but whatever.
Yeah, well, and they're gonna tie it all together in a movie.
What?
Yeah, they're tying it all together in a movie that Dave Filoni's directing.
Like Ahsoka and Boba Fett and Din Djarin are all going to be in a movie together?
I guess so.
I'm not going to the theaters for that.
Yeah, fuck, I guess. I don't know what they're supposed to do. But I mean, okay, fuck, no, I know what they're gonna do. It's fucking Thrawn's gonna return, and there's gonna be a big threat, and then you know,
I think Thrawn's going to return like at the end of the Ahsoka
at
series.
the end of the Ahsoka series,
And then we
then
have to wait for the movie for.
and they're gonna put out a movie called Heir to the Empire, and then yeah,
Boring.
yep. So that's what's gonna happen.
Don't care.
Yeah, so I say I'm cautiously optimistic for this show. I don't know about the future of any of these other series. Mandalorian feels stupid already.
Yeah,
which is too bad because.
Do you remember when season 1 came out and it was so good?
Yeah,
So much fun.
yeah,
And the music ripped ass.
yeah. I mean, even season 2. For all it's like he goes to a new planet and makes a new friend, which he does like 3 times in that 7-episode season or whatever.
It's like the littlest hobo.
Yeah. Like
The littlest Mando.
Even season 2, like I don't like that Luke Skywalker just shows up and nice. I don't like that Luke Skywalker shows up at the end. We talked about this before.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
this Deus Ex Machina of like
It's
we
bad.
got to put Luke Skywalker in there.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But like the ending that they give the Mandalorian in that is really good. And there's a really good arc there. And then like the fucking season 3, they throw it all away.
Into the poop.
Yeah. But like, remember, okay, I was just thinking about this the other day actually, and I wanted to go back and watch it, but I didn't. Was the first episode of season 2 where they fight the Crate Dragon?
Yeah.
What a fucking great episode.
With Timothy Oliphant?
Yeah, Ola Fantastic is in it.
Oh, fantastic. I've never heard that before, but it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a great episode.
He's just there wearing Boba Fett's armor, being super handsome.
Yeah. And it's just like, where the fuck did you get Boba Fett's armor? Well, I'm just so good looking.
Got it off some Jawas.
Yep. That's good.
Yeah. Like that was so great. What a great like single episode.
Totally forgot about that episode.
It's great. It might be my favorite episode of The Mandalorian, honestly. It's really good. Yeah, so that's my feelings on Ahsoka.
It's a lot of feelings.
It is a lot of feelings.
It's because you want it to be good.
I do want it to be good. And like
And it's
Dave
not.
Filoni has proven that he can tell really good stories and like develop really good characters, but it's like, can you only do it if it's a cartoon? Like what's
Yeah, it was funny. I recently rewatched Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I forgot that like Dave Filoni directed, I think, almost like the entire first book. Like at the end of every episode, Dave Filoni's name comes up, and I'm like, oh right,
Yeah.
And I love that show. I think it's incredible.
That got him the Clone Wars job.
That's right. Yeah. And then lots of Clone Wars was incredible, and like it's
Rebels is really good too. Like Rebels is a really solid show.
I believe it. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's just something to do with live action doesn't quite translate in his brain. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it doesn't make sense because, like, especially for like the type of stories that he's telling, they feel like they should work, whether it's in live action or not. Like, they don't feel like they're medium specific, you know, or so, like as opposed to something like I don't know, the Simpsons.
Yeah,
kind of only works as a cartoon.
Yeah.
You know,
that would be weird.
Or you know, Looney Tunes.
Yeah, that's no.
You can't really do live action Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. Like that doesn't translate.
Not so much.
But like this isn't that, right? This isn't like a hyper stylized version of the Star Wars universe. Like, you know, the character models and stuff might be a little stylized and not look, you know, exactly human. But like that doesn't have any effect on like the type of storytelling. The universe is still grounded in the same reality as the live action.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense to me why he can't pull that from animation and tell this story in animation or in live action. Like, yeah. I wonder if it would have been different if he was doing it as a cartoon.
Hard to say.
Where were you in 2004?
2004.
Or 2003? When did this come out? 2003?
2003. Middle school. Speaking of Bulldogs.
All right, because your school was the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
All right. We watched Freddy vs. Jason.
Warn your friends. Warn everyone.
Welcome to my nightmare.
We're not safe awake or asleep.
Why won't you die? Freddy versus Jason.
Place your bets.
Yeah.
Now,
So.
you weren't like a horror kid, really.
Well, I didn't kill anyone when I was a child. Only when I became an adult did I really get a taste for murder.
Right.
Oh wait, that's not what you meant.
No.
You can edit this, right?
But we got him.
Who are you talking to?
For the listeners at home, I lifted my collar and spoke into it like I was an FBI agent running a sting. So you were not a fan of horror films as a child, really?
Not overly, no. I'm pretty sure every single horror movie that I ever watched as a child, I watched with you.
Yeah, probably. Because I really liked them. I had parents that didn't really want me to watch them. So I had to find excuses to watch them. And then once my parents found out how many I had seen, then at a certain point they stopped caring. And they were
gave
like,
up?
okay, once you, yeah. Well, like, I think, like, I wanted to watch Alien, and so my dad was like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll rent you Alien. It's like an old sci-fi movie or something. And I watched it, and then, like, he looked at the back, and he's like, this is rated R? And I'm like, 11, and I'm like, uh-huh. And he's like, oh.
Whoops.
Okay. And you're fine? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. He's like, okay. Can I rent the second one? I guess. Sure.
Amazing.
So yeah, that was Yeah, that was my experience with horror movies. I mostly watched them at my cousin's house when I would go to Ontario for the summers.
Right. Okay.
He had a room. His bedroom was in the basement, and his mom or his stepdad, one of them, had a big collection of horror DVDs, and we would just go upstairs and grab a couple and take them down and just spend all night watching horror movies in the basement.
Wild. So you've seen like a lot of them, eh?
Oh yeah. So I guess you probably don't remember then the hype around this movie when it came out.
Certainly not.
This was like they did like a heavyweight weigh-in, like boxing press conference in Vegas with Freddy and Jason.
What?
Before the movie came out. Yeah, like it was such a big deal. And I remember it made like, it cost like $25 million to make or something like that, and it made like $280 million at the box office, which like for that time, for an R-rated movie, was like insanely big. Like the the highest grossing R-rated movie was Passion of the Christ.
Oh wow!
Right, and then this one came in, and I think probably slid into second place.
Wowza!
So like it was huge, and I wanted to see it so bad, and my parents would not take me, so I didn't see this for. Man, when would I have seen this? I don't remember the first time I watched this, actually.
Oh, no?
To be honest with you.
Was it like years after it came out, or?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I might have watched it with my cousin in the basement.
Your horror cousin in his murder basement?
Yeah, or I might have just like, rented it myself one day. Like in high school or something like that. Once, most of the time they didn't care at Rogers Video if when you looked decently old.
Yeah.
So yeah. I remember the first time, but I remember thinking it was awesome.
Yeah. You loved it?
I loved it. I was like, this is great. It's got Freddy, it's got Jason, it's got like a crazy amount of blood.
Like a lot, yeah.
Some like really kind of gnarly, cool kills.
That's really what these kinds of movies come down to. It's like, murder's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it has to happen in at least an interesting way.
Yeah. For sure. And, we got to see Catherine Isabel naked, which was like also a big deal for me personally at the time. I was like, damn, that's awesome.
It's a very life-changing moment for you.
Yeah. I saw Ginger Snaps when I was a kid, and like I had a huge crush on Catherine Isabel, and then I found out that she was like from Vancouver, and I was like, oh shit.
Oh, that's cool.
She's local. There's a chance. Little 12-year-old me being like, oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, you could run into her in the next city over.
Yeah. So yeah, that for me was like kind of, yeah, it was all good. I liked the whole thing. I liked that Jay was in it from Jay and Silent Bob.
Oh yeah.
I mean, not really, but they definitely were like, we should just put that character in this movie.
Yeah.
But fuck the silent one. We don't need him. I think they should have just leaned into it.
Probably.
They had Jay and Silent Bob show up in Scream 3. I'm like, why not have Jay and Silent Bob just show up in Freddy vs. Jason? Why not?
Yeah.
Have them both get murdered. That'd be hilarious. But anyways, tell me your thoughts. Tell me, what's the story? What's the story of the movie?
What's the story of the movie? So, obviously, what the movie is actually about is this guy. His name is Freddy.
Yeah.
Freddy Wong, and he fights this dude named Jason Momoa. Wait, is that what the movie we watched?
No, sorry. He fights Jason Biggs. Catches him fucking a pie.
Oh, of
Yeah.
course. Yep.
Yeah.
And then he haunts his dreams.
And he haunts his dreams.
No, so the movie is obviously set in a world where the Friday the 13th and the Nightmare Before Elm Street shit has already happened.
Nightmare Before Elm Street.
Whoops. I was thinking of Stripes and...
Yeah, fair enough. They both got stripes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
What's this? There's blood everywhere.
Ooh, that's good.
Thank you. Yeah, so Freddy Wong is already dead.
Yeah. This is such a weird joke that you're doing. Like, is anyone gonna remember Freddy Wong?
Of course they will. And anyone who... If you can't...
The guy from Tactical Reloads?
Yes, they're at least Googling it now if they
Yeah.
don't remember. And also, you're right. No one will remember.
No, unless they listen to Dungeons and Daddies.
Is he on Dungeons and Daddies?
Yeah.
Oh,
It's a rowdy, horny, violent podcast for grown-ups.
that is true. Anyway, Freddy Krueger is dead.
Yes.
And Jason Voorhees
Yeah.
is dead.
Vanderbeek.
Jason. And so the writers had a little bit of a problem there because
Yep.
they needed these two to fight and they were both dead.
Well, okay,
And they
so...
decided that it wasn't much of a problem.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's two ways they could have gone about doing this.
The good way and the bad way.
Well, so there's the way of ignoring all of the continuity that previously happened
Right.
and just starting fresh.
Yeah.
Soft reboot style. Right? Saying, like, okay, all those movies, some version of them sort of kind of happened, but, like, we don't need to stick to all the details about it. This is who Freddy is. This is who Jason is. We're just gonna roll with it, That stuff didn't happen in the 80s. Maybe it happened in like the mid 90s,
Right.
and like, whatever. But these guys were fans of the franchises, and they were like, "Nah, we can't say that nothing, none of that lore happened.
Absolutely not.
We got to try and preserve all the lore." And so let me just break down the lore for you here.
Oh, please do.
So the last
Get my mug of tea
time
ready.
we saw Frederick von Krugervich,
Is that his full name?
yeah, he changed it when he came over from Nazi Germany.
Speaking of weird jokes.
I guess I was doing like a Werner von Braun bit. Anyways, instead of creating the space program, he murdered children. So
Whoops.
Last time we saw Freddy Krueger, depending on which version you want to go with, because technically the last Freddy movie was Wes Craven's New Nightmare, where the cast of the Freddy movies play fictional versions of themselves being haunted by the quote-unquote real demon that inspired Freddy.
What?
Oh, yeah, buddy.
This is already too deep for me.
It's like a weird meta, like, precursor to Scream kind of, like, super, like, meta slasher kind of thing. And it's good. I really like it.
Oh, okay.
It
Sounds whack.
It does sound whack. It's really hard to explain to people. It's like going like, yeah, the fourth Star Trek, they go back in time to save the whales so that a probe will stop destroying Earth. And it's the best one. And people are like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That sounds like nonsense.
Like, yeah, but it's the best one.
Space whales.
So that's in its own kind of weird timeline continuity. It's its own thing.
Okay.
In Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare, Alice Cooper is Freddy's dad, and they go
Of course.
inside Freddy's brain using 3D glasses, and
Naturally.
there's some sort of dream demons that are possessing his consciousness or whatever, and his daughter sticks a pipe bomb in his chest, and he blows up
Classic.
in 3D.
How many times have we heard that story?
Well, I mean, this was the 6th one, so yeah. So he blew up. Freddy's dead. Freeze frame. Credits.
Classic.
Now let's jump over to Friday the 13th.
Please.
The last time we saw Jason Voorhees was Jason X, and he was re-entering the atmosphere.
Oh my God, Jason X.
As the captain of the ship or whatever got in the spacesuit with the jetpack and tackled Jason and into the planet, and they burned up in the atmosphere.
Amazing.
That was the last time we saw him. Before that, it was Jason Goes to Hell the final Friday, where he got dragged down to hell.
Right.
And then you see Freddy's glove come up out of the dirt and grab the hockey mask and pull it down.
Right. Foreshadowing the...
Foreshadowing. And then they were trying... So that was in like 1990. And they were trying to get that movie made for 13 years.
Right. That's so long. I
And
forgot about that.
In between then, they were like, well, fuck, maybe we should just do Jason in space because we don't have... I read a book called Slash of the Titans.
You told me about that, yeah.
Which is just like transcripts of interviews with every single screenwriter who was hired to write a version of Freddy vs. Jason. And they're fascinating. They're all wild and would have been crazy to see.
Oh, man.
In a way, we kind of got the lamest version of that.
Oh.
No, not entirely. There was some that I remember reading and then just going like, this is nothing.
Oh, gosh.
But a lot of Freddy worshipping cults. In more than one version had like a Freddy worshipping cult, which was very
like a way for
very
him
strange.
to come back.
Yeah. So then before that, Jason went to Manhattan.
It's my favorite musical.
Jason Goes to Manhattan, and he got exposed to some toxic waste, and it turned him back into like a weird baby.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. Oh, what?
Yeah, he got turned back into like a weird baby.
That's wild. I feel like
Yeah.
we've stopped having a conversation, and now I'm just having like a pipe dream.
So, well, what kind of though? Like, because starting with number 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, that's where the continuity sort of disappears a little bit. Like each version of or like each previous film before that like picks up where the last one left off. You know, they kill Jason. He gets, you know, they stick him with a lightning rod. He gets brought back to life by accident.
Classic.
Then he gets drowned at the bottom of the lake. Then he gets pulled up by, you know, some kids on a boat dragging their anchor, and they burst an electrical line, and that electrocutes him again back to life.
Classic.
And he kills them, and he ends up in Manhattan. But then the toxic waste turns him into a baby, and so like. But then we see him in Jason Goes to Hell the Final Friday, and he's this like weird. That's the version where like his skin has started to like grow like around the mask and everything. Like he's been wearing the mask so long, it's become part of his face.
Pretty nasty.
And then he gets dragged down to hell. But then like in Jason X, he's been kidnapped he's been captured by the government.
Yeah.
And they're gonna like run David Cronenberg wants to run experiments on him, but then he gets free and she traps him in the cryo chamber. So it's like, what? How did he get out of hell? You know, like when is this supposed to take place? Is he still gonna go to space? So the continuity on the Friday side is fucked.
Yeah, at a certain point you kind of have to just stop caring.
And the continuity on the Elm Street side is a little less fucked, but it's still kind of fucked.
Yeah.
So, like, for them to do a version that is, like, beholden to the character or to the lore is, like, I don't know.
Yeah, you can't really maintain canon in this franchise.
No. And I mean, like, you can kind of make an argument for, like, okay, they quote unquote killed Freddy at the end of 6, and he's just been like floating around the dream world, weak and powerless, because no one remembers him anymore, and so then he finally gets this idea to bring Jason back to life, and whichever version of Jason that is, you can kind of just take your pick, because he was a weird baby, and then he got dragged to hell, and then he went to space. So like, it doesn't matter. The Jason in this is kind of just there to be a tool for Freddy,
basically.
Yeah. I think of it more as taking place in the Elm Street universe, but yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on the film? I can't remember how we got here.
Where did we come from? So, you asked me what the movie's about.
Right, and then I had to explain like 9 other movies to you.
Yep. So
Yeah.
So basically, Freddy's dead, and the people of Elm Street have, they figure it out in needing to kill him because he was already dead. He
Yeah.
killed a bunch of children, and then their parents killed him. But then he came back to haunt their dreams and kill their children.
Yeah. He's getting revenge on the parents by coming back, killing the kids in their dreams.
Yeah.
It's the sins of the parents being taken out on their offspring.
Yeah.
Kind of vibe.
So he's already dead, but he lives on in their dreams like some kind of demon.
Yeah.
But it's their fear of him that gives him the power to actually kill them, and like a deity almost. If no one remembers him, then he can't really exist. And so they defeat him in the movies and stuff. So he's basically like, I guess it seems like he's in hell and just kind of pissed that no one remembers him.
Yeah.
He's like really whiny about it.
I don't even know if
actually.
he's in hell or if he's just in like some sort of weird like purgatory limbo state where like he's like he's
in the place between worlds.
Well, kind of. He's in his dream world, but he doesn't have any powers there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of taken
And
from
Hayden Christensen can't help him.
Hayden Christensen can't help him.
Yeah.
He has to choose to live. That was the final lesson.
Oh, choose to live.
That is the final lesson.
Okay, so Hayden Christensen did help him,
Yeah.
which means that Friday the 13th and The Nightmare Before Elm Street
Yeah.
are both set in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, 100%. Robert Englund's going to show up in the last episode of Ahsoka
I can't wait.
and be like, "Hey, Thrawn. Time to unleash a nightmare on the galaxy, bitch."
So much. Freddy says bitch so much in this movie. It really loses its flavor after a while.
He does, yeah.
Yeah.
This was before Jesse Pinkman appropriated bitch in Breaking Bad.
Yep.
Freddy was the original bitch guy.
Yeah. Put that on a t-shirt.
Freddy, the original bitch guy.
So yeah, he can't do anything.
It's Freddy. It's Freddy cutting off Jesse Pinkman's head and holding it. He's like, "That's my word, bitch." That's the card.
There
yeah.
you go.
That's
there you
the
go.
card. There you go. Patent pending. Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, he's just kind of whinging on about wanting to kill children. The beginning of the movie is kind of just him narrating his own origin story to us.
He has a lot of monologues in this movie.
Yeah.
Like too many.
Yeah, and then he's just really upset. He's lonely, he
Yeah.
doesn't have anyone to talk to because no one knows he exists, and that's why he can't talk to anyone. And all the fear's gone. There's no one to fear, so he can't kill any children, and he just really wants to kill children.
Yeah.
But then he finds a glimmer of hope in hell named Jason Voorhees.
Is he in hell, or is he just rotting in the forest in Crystal Lake somewhere?
Yes. And so he finds him and then gives Jason a dream, because that's his whole thing. He's a dream demon.
Yeah.
Just like Hypno, the Pokemon.
Sure.
Drowsy.
He is the original Drowsy in many ways.
I'm the original drowsy bitch.
He puts people to sleep and is a perv.
And so he gives Jason a dream.
Yeah.
About his mom. Because that's all Jason really cares about, is his dead mom. He's super dead.
He's a big mama's boy.
Yes, 100%.
Which apparently there was a line in the original script of this movie where Freddy calls him a big mama's boy.
Oh, yeah?
And the studio replaced it with
bitch?
Freddy saying, "Hey, asshole."
Wow. I mean, calling him a mama's boy is just right there.
Yeah.
It's so appropriate.
Before he drops the rebar on him, he's supposed to be like, "Up here, you big mama's boy." And then he drops the thing on him. But instead, the studio was like, what if he just says, "Hey, asshole."
And that, in essence, is his character in this movie. He's just shouting obscenities at people.
This is maybe the best example of why we shouldn't let AI write movie scripts and why we need writers, and the studio should pay them fairly.
Yes, absolutely.
If the strike is still going on by the time this episode comes out, this will make a lot of sense. But if not,
it'll still make sense.
Everyone will have forgotten.
Oh, that strike. Oh my gosh. Anyway, yeah, so he gives Jason a nightmare about his mom, and his mom is like, "You have been asleep too long, you lazy boy. You gotta go do some killing."
Yeah.
Basically, it gives him a nightmare about killing people, and then the people he's killing are like, "We deserve to die." And then his mom's like, "They deserve to die. You gotta go kill." And then we see his exposed lungs begin to inflate and his heart begin to pump from inside his very exposed ribcage from somewhere in the forest. And then he bursts out of the ground. Wait. But we just saw his ribcage.
Yeah.
What? How? But so,
I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he bursts out of the ground in the forest and has got to go kill some people.
Yeah.
Oh, in Elm Street.
In Elm Street, yeah. So Freddy's plan is to bring Jason to Elm Street because Jason can kill people in the real world. It'll make them afraid. They'll start to talk about the name Fred Krueger in hushed tones and whispers in the dark, and that'll instill fear in the hearts of Elm Street again, and then he'll regain his power, and then he can kill.
Yeah. Because there's, mysterious slaughter, and then people start, there's like the whispering, and then he's able to like start giving people nightmares, and then he like tries to kill someone in their dream at one point, and he can't quite do it, and he's like, "Not strong enough yet, bitch."
Yeah.
And he calls himself bitch that time.
He literally looks directly into camera while giving this monologue. Like he's like, "I'm not strong enough yet, but I will be soon. Until then, it's time for Jason to have some fun." And he's like looking right into the camera.
Yep.
And it's like, what the fuck is this? Do you know any like weird monologues to camera he's given in this entire series?
None.
Yeah. It's none. Yeah. He doesn't monologue.
Yep.
He's a one-liner guy. Welcome to prime time, bitch. Like that's...
Do all of his one-lines end in bitch? The answer is yes.
Kinda. So, okay, so like he pops up out of the TV and he like picks up the girls like, "This is it, Jennifer, your big break in TV. Welcome to prime time, bitch." And then he like smashes her head into the TV, which is his chest.
Classic.
And then I guess people kind of latched onto that, and yeah, he does. They're not all bitch, but there is a lot of bitch.
Indeed, there is. And so, yeah, we've got some characters. I feel like it's hardly even worth talking about them. But like, I guess primarily we've got a lead guy and a lead girl.
Yes, we got Lori, who's our final girl.
Yep. And
She's
Will.
blonde. And
Yes.
she's in love with a boy named Will, and then he moved away and stopped writing her and broke her heart. Mm-hmm. And so then the worst member of Destiny's Child is like, "Hey, you need to get over Will, that you were 14. Why don't you fuck this random dude named Blake?" who showed up.
who sucks and talks about feng shui.
Yeah. Talks about how her space has a nice flow.
Ugh, that's a good pickup line.
And he's friends with the rudest boy in all of slasher movie history. Who's dating the girl with maybe the lowest self-esteem in all of slasher movies, played by the gorgeous Catherine Isabel.
Tragic.
Catherine, if you're listening, I love you.
Can you imagine if Catherine Isabel was listening to our stupid podcast?
That'd be great.
Does she have nothing better to do?
She might not. I don't know what she's doing right now. Probably acting still.
I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not right now. There's a strike.
Yes, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
But Catherine, if you're listening,
yeah, hit me up. I'm not in like a weird way. I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I'm hosting a screening of Ginger Snaps in October. If you want to come out, and like chat afterwards, that'd be fun.
Can you imagine how incredibly wild that would be?
That'd be nuts. I shit my pants.
Just fully dookie in the drawers.
Just pack my Dax.
Well, she's not coming now. Joke's on you. She's been listening and she just decided it wasn't worth reaching out.
Oh no.
You blew it. Just like Freddy.
Yeah. But it does give us this douchebag does give us maybe the best kill in any of these movies. Which is when he gets stabbed through the bed with the machete, and then Jason just folds the bed in half with him on it.
Yeah.
So gnarly and gross.
Snaps him at a weird angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
It's pretty nasty.
Say, kills that guy, and then people are starting to talk about it. But the police are like keeping it real hush hush.
Yeah.
Like there are some members on the force who know about it and are like,
yeah, the deputy's like, it's gotta be Freddy Krueger, and the sheriff's like, shut your fucking mouth. Just fucking talk about fucking Freddy Krueger. Shut your fucking mouth.
and then some other cop is like, hey, I've got some leads, and the director, whatever, is like, no, shut up and go away.
They've got a cork board, like list of suspects, like Freddy Krueger, Bigfoot, Abraham Lincoln, Lee Harvey Oswald, Elvis, you know. Like, yeah, it's open and shut. I don't know. It's most likely either Freddy or Bigfoot. Yeah.
Yeah, and so, he's able to start giving them nightmares, but he's not quite powerful enough. Meanwhile, Will, who moved away, is actually in like a home, like basically an insane asylum.
It's an asylum.
Yeah.
It's not a home. There's a guards.
Yeah, and they're like drugging them.
Yeah. So they're giving them this drug, Hypnosil, which we also see Laurie's dad spiking her orange juice with.
Yeah.
And I remember you going like, oh no, he's drugging her. What's he doing? And I was like, I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm like, well, actually, he's trying to help.
Yeah.
In this case, he's actually trying to help because he's trying to.
Because what we learn about the drug later on,
is
that it inhibits dreams.
Yeah, which is problematic.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a neuroscientist, but from what I understand, whether you remember your dreams or not, dreaming is a way of your brain processing and storing information.
Yeah, it's my understanding that everyone dreams every night.
Yeah, whether you remember it or not, kind of doesn't matter. But it's your brain going like, all right, what did you do today? Okay, none of this really needs to be filed away. Like for me, I went to work today, interacted with a bunch of customers. None of it
mattered.
Is really important at all, so that'll probably all get deleted. And
you don't need to remember the amount of times that people got nut milk with their dairy drinks.
Those will be burned into my brain. I'm like, okay, real quick. Two people today. Well, okay. The biggest one was someone ordered an espresso milkshake, which is a shot of espresso, an equal shot of milk, and then ice cream.
Right.
250 grams of ice cream.
Yum, yum, yum.
Somebody ordered that with oat milk. And they're like, can you do that? And I was like, I can do that. Yeah.
But
But like, it still has 250 grams of ice cream in it compared to like the 2 fluid ounces of oat milk that are going into it. I don't really think it's gonna help all that much.
yeah, if dairy's an issue.
And they were like, well, it's like a little bit less dairy. I'm like, it is. And I'm like, look,
Amazing.
it's your asshole. So if you want me to do it, I'll do it. Yeah, I don't really care.
Yeah, you're not here to stop. You're just here to warn.
I don't really care what happens to you once you get your drink and leave. You're not my problem anymore. So if you want, like, yeah, two ounces of oat milk in there, do you think that's gonna make all the difference? Sure. Why not?
Yeah, shout out to all of our lactose intolerant listeners.
Yeah, what up?
Yeah, both of us
Can't do it.
can't do it.
Yeah. And my coworker even came over and she was like, so this says oat milk? I'm like, yep. She's like, but it's still, I'm like, yep.
Yep.
Like, and they know. I'm like, oh yeah. Yeah, I explained it. She's like, okay. Yep.
Gosh.
So anyways, that's going to be filed away forever.
Yeah.
It'll be one of the last things that passes through my mind as I die. Last synapses are firing. It's like, remember that time that person ordered it? Ugh.
Well, if
And
I'm,
the other
at,
th-
if
and
I'm
the
at
other
your
thing-
deathbed and you mutter something about oat milk, I'll know.
You'll know. And then I'll also be like, oh, Freddy vs. Jason.
Oh, yeah, because now those are linked in your brain.
Now they're linked.
Cute.
Yeah. So the hypnocell.
Right, that's where we were.
Look, I don't want to get bogged down in the plot by plot of this movie because it's not.
Oh,
it's
don't you?
Not really, no.
But it's so compelling, Aaron.
It's basically, they start to figure out. They bust out of the mental asylum. They show up at the high school and they're like, "Hey, we're back. This is what happened to us. We were locked away." And so the kids start to unravel this mystery, right? They're like, okay, so there's this guy Freddy, used to kill people, but it's all been erased from the records. Like, they go to the library and they're looking at microfiche, and all of the stories are blacked out, right? Like, all the, and he's like, my brother's suicide should be in here, but it's not. Why? Mm-hmm. And it's like they're trying to erase Freddy from existence. And then they're like, well, maybe that's because that's what gives him power. Is like us being afraid of him is what gives him power, and we can't be afraid of him if we don't know who he is.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, and that's why, like, this character Will and his friend that was also in the asylum were put in the asylum. They were fully, like, incarcerated in this asylum because they had, like, family members that knew about Jason. Or not even
Freddy.
Yeah, sorry, but Freddy. Yeah, the friend, his brother was killed by Freddy.
Yeah, his brother was killed by Freddy. They were both having Freddy nightmares.
Right.
Or at least the friend was.
No, I think just the friend was.
Just the friend was.
He was put away. But then Will, like, one night when he was climbing up to Laurie's, thank you. Laurie's imagine climbing the trellis, like a classic boyfriend move.
Yeah.
He like saw through the window her dad kill her mom in their bed.
Or what he thought.
Yeah. And then like Laurie's dad had him put away.
Yeah.
So of course he's like, this whole time is like, he's a fucking murderer. I need to like save Laurie. But the reason that Will was put away is actually because what he saw involved Freddy. And it was just like, anything about Freddy needs to be put away because it's the only way to stop him.
Yeah.
Keep him whining in hell.
Well, yeah, and also probably because he didn't want him getting on the witness stand saying, I saw him go into the room with a big knife.
Yeah, that too, yeah. Because that doesn't look good.
It doesn't look good. And it's weird. We see it in a flashback dream sequence kind of thing later The dad goes into the room and the mom is thrashing around on the bed and she's got like blood and cuts on her and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, is he going to try and stab Freddy? Freddy is in the dream world.
I mean, it's a little unclear, but
yeah,
it was about Freddy. Yeah.
yeah, because it was about Freddy. I don't know what his plan was.
I don't think he had much of a plan.
Probably not. Yeah, so then basically their plan is to they need to get some hypnosil.
Yeah, so that they can actually sleep because they've been staying awake as best they can.
Yeah. So they go to the clinic where these guys were incarcerated, and no one's there.
Correct.
Except like maybe like a couple security guards, but other than that, it's like completely empty.
There's one security guard that we see, yeah.
Yeah. Why is it empty?
Well, there's a very perfectly logical, reasonable explanation.
They forgot.
Yep.
Yeah. They forgot to write that there's other patients in there.
Correct.
Okay.
Although there are a bunch of people in comas.
Yeah, so there's people in comas with like gauze taped over their eyes, and it's like they've been given too much Hypnosil,
Correct.
and they've slipped into a coma.
Like they actually learned that Hypnosil is it's in beta.
Yeah, it's not approved by the FDA.
Yeah.
Experimental.
Experimental. That's the word I was trying to look.
So the Hypnosil actually comes from Nightmare on Elm Street 3, I think.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, because that one also has some interred children or youth that are locked away in a ward because they're suicidal or whatever.
Right.
And they're troubled teens. And Nancy from the first movie comes back, and she's a counselor now.
Oh.
Like a support worker kind of person. And she wants to give the kids at the asylum Hypnosil. But the head doctor won't approve it because it's an experimental drug. But she wants to give it to them because Freddy's been killing them off in their dreams.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so that tracks.
So yeah, that's a cool thing that they worked in from the other series. But Freddy doesn't want them to get the Hypnosil, so he sends Jason their way, and he also gives Jay from Jay and Silent Bob a vision of a weird caterpillar Freddy monster.
That was fucked
smoking
up.
hookah. And he's like, "Whoa, it's sick,
Super
man."
Weird.
And then he like possesses him.
Yep. Which, like, if that was a thing that he could do, like, does he do that in other movies? Possess people?
I'm trying to think if he does.
Seems like he should do that all the time.
Kind of. He kind of does it in 2.
Because if he can only kill people in their dreams, but can possess people, he only needs one person to fall asleep, and then he can possess them and kill everyone.
Yeah. Or he could, jump from body to body, right? Like you just keep possessing people, and if that person gets killed, then you can move on to the next one. Yeah, I don't know. Or possess them and make them throw themselves off a building or something, right?
Yeah. Seems like a skill he should have honed.
It's interesting because like in 2 he kind of possesses sort of Jesse, the main character, but then he also like uses his body as a vessel to materialize in the real world.
I'm sorry I asked.
He literally bursts out of his chest.
Gross.
And then in 3, he kind of makes a kid sleepwalk off of the roof.
Oh.
But he pulls out, you see it a little bit in the opening montage. He like pulls out his tendons out of his arms and legs, and he's like marionetting him, and he makes him like jump off the roof.
Gross.
So they think it was a suicide, but really it was Freddy.
Of course.
So possessed Jay stabs Jason with the horse tranquilizer. 2 big vials of horse tranquilizer. And knocks him the fuck out. And then they get this plan where they're like, all right, let's load him.
Actually, it's pretty great because he's like gets the two syringes in him while he's possessing him, and then like sinks into the syringes, and then Jason just cuts him in half.
Cuts him right in half. That's a pretty gnarly kill too.
Yeah,
actually.
cuts him fully in half, and then just without any change falls backward on the ground unconscious.
Well, yeah, so that's actually kind of a funny gag because he cuts him in half, and then Lori and the boyfriend are looking on terrified, and then the nerd character comes running in with a gun, screaming.
Oh yeah,
because he had killed the cop character that was helping them. As like one of the sheriff's deputies was like, oh yeah, I'll help you kids out, I believe you,
right,
kind of thing. He got electrocuted to death. The nerd character grabs his gun. He comes running in and he's like screaming and pointing the gun at Jason. He's like, ah, and then Jason just passes out. And it's like, he's kind of like, huh? He's like, did I just scare him to death? But no, he's just very tranquilized. And so their plan is like, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to load Jason up into the van. We're going to duct tape him up. And they duct tape him up a little bit. Very stupid.
Yeah.
Load him into the van. We'll keep him tranked. And then Lori's going to go to sleep with the tranquilizer. We're going to tranquilize Lori a little bit. But just enough for 15 minutes.
Because when they were like kind of planning, she dozed off for a little bit, which obviously meant that Jason came. And then like Jason...
Freddy.
Oh, jeez, I keep doing that. Freddy comes for her in her sleep and is about to kill her, and she kind of like grabs his face a little bit.
Yeah, she rips a piece of his skin off.
Yeah, and then they wake her up, and she's holding it.
Yeah.
And so she's like, "Oh, we can bring him into the real world."
Yeah. Which is what's it's happened before in previous films, or it happens in the first one.
Yeah.
So they're like, all right, we'll do that, just like the first movie.
So they have all this trank, and they just keep feeding it to Jason.
Yeah.
Which we like. There's no way they know proper dosages of this shit. Like, how would they know that? And like, yeah, and then they give Lori enough. You know, here's a 15-minute dose. You'll be out for 15 minutes. You set an alarm on your watch. It will wake you up.
First of all, the amount that they give her is a huge fucking syringe.
Yeah.
And it's like a quarter full.
Yeah.
It's so much. Like, it probably would kill her.
Probably.
But no, it's a 15-minute dose. I mean, and to be fair, they overshoot it because she doesn't wake
100%.
up right away.
It is inaccurate.
Yeah. Because she goes into the dream world, and it's kind of being shared by Jason, where we see Jason as a little kid. Because Freddy and Jason have been fighting in the dream world, and that's when we kind of discover... Freddy discovers that Jason's afraid of water.
Right, yeah.
And so we flash back to Camp Crystal Lake. Jason's being teased, and he falls in the lake, and then Freddy is like trying to drown him in the lake. And that's when Lori kind of... And I don't know if it was implied. It's supposed to be implying that like Freddy was the one that killed child Jason in the first place, or if
I
this...
don't think so.
Okay.
I think he was just trying to kill Jason. Been trying to kill him this whole time.
And he was just doing it in this dream. He like turned him into a little child in the dream, and was like, "Oh, if I can't kill you as a big hulking zombie man, I'll kill you as a dream." There's a little child in the dream. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I would have done.
Yeah. Yeah, so the tranquilizer wears off, and Jason... Oh, no. Yeah. He sits, like, bolt upright in the van.
Yeah, well, he starts to drown, and then in the van, like, water is actually gushing out of his mouth.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, shit, we actually need him alive to, like, fight Freddy, because Laurie's going to bring Freddy out. They're driving to Camp Crystal Lake to give Jason... home ice advantage, which is a wild thing to think. And so
they're like, well, you know, if he kills Freddy, Then he's already home. He has no reason to come after us. We can just leave. He's back where he belongs. And if Freddy wins, well, at least Jason has home field advantage.
Yeah.
Um,
But then he's
doesn't make a lot of
drowning.
sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. Again, pretty shit plan. He's drowning as water gushing up from underneath his mask, and Laurie's out. Will's driving. We've got the nerd kid and the best friend, and
yeah.
and they're like, oh shoot, we need to like save him. We need to like give him mouth to mouth.
Yeah.
And the nerd kid's like, well, I have asthma. I don't have the lung capacity.
Yeah, you got to do it. And then she's like, "That's bullshit. I don't want to do this."
Jason.
And then Will's like, "He has fucking asthma, okay? Just do it." Damn.
Yeah, and so, oh, that's so gross and so uncomfortable. And she like tries to lift up the mask, and water's like spurting out of him as he's like convulsing and drowning. And then,
yeah, just as she's about to do it, he snaps awake, and then they crash the van.
Yeah. Like he snaps awake. The nerd kid, who I guess has been holding the gun the whole time, fires it, and it goes through the windshield. And then the car immediately flips, and the back door busts open, and Jason just kind of goes flying off into the woods somehow. It was pretty great.
That was pretty great.
Yeah. And then of course in the dream world, Freddy is like, well, fuck, and starts going after Laurie instead because Jason woke up and he's not there anymore. But then they managed, like, they are kind of carrying her unconscious body as Jason is hunting them down, desperately trying to stave him off while desperately trying to wake up Laurie, until they're like in a building that's on fire now.
Yeah, they started a fire by accident.
Really easily by accident.
Yeah.
In an abandoned camp. Seems like all of that gasoline shouldn't have been there.
So much gasoline and propane. In
so much gas and propane in that abandoned camp.
But yeah, they like accidentally set fire in her hand accidentally. Touches some of the flames, and that pain, I guess, is enough to snap her awake.
Right, yeah.
She grabs Freddy, and then he kind of realizes that he's not in the dream world anymore. And
he looks scared as shit.
And then some like fucking Limp Bizkit starts playing or something. And it's like, pa-down, 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 rolling. Back up. What you gonna do now? And then they have a big old fucking smackdown.
Yeah, this is what the movie's really been leading to.
Yeah.
They're both in the real world, and there's a lot of propane and rebar around.
Would you say that this even counts as a horror movie? Like, I don't like maybe
it feels more like a monster movie.
Or like an action movie almost. I mean, like by the end, it's definitely like a kung fu, action WWE fucking kind of like. I think it has more. Yeah, it has more in common with like WWE than it does with horror.
Yeah,
when
honestly.
he like grabs, he's like throwing Freddy through tables and like grabs him, and he's like throwing him through the windows. Like taking out all the window panes, like just dragging him through.
That's pretty great.
All the glass and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not really a horror movie, which kind of brings me to
like at the beginning, maybe, right? Like the first couple murder scenes with Jason in the house.
Yeah, where it's like actually some scares.
Yeah, but it's not scary.
For the most part, he's just going around killing people, and then the big thing with Freddy, which really crystallizes in that scene where he like gets scared and like realizes that he's in the real world and Jason's there, is gonna fuck him up, is that like Freddy is just not scary. He's gross and he's annoying and he keeps calling people bitch, but he is not scary.
Yeah, he's not anymore.
Really chatty, and he keeps looking at us through the camera.
He started scary. I think in the first movie he was scary.
That would make sense.
Yeah. And he just really quickly, I mean, I think what happens with a lot of slasher movies is eventually you're going to the movie to see the villain.
Yeah.
It's the Freddy Krueger series at the end of the day. It's not the Nancy Thompson series. It's the Jason Voorhees series, right? It's the Michael Myers series.
Yeah.
You know, at least, you know, Halloween, I mean, that continuity has been rebooted so many fucking times. But, you know, the Jamie Lee Curtis, it's kind of the only series that actually has a mainstay lead that comes back. I mean, she didn't want to do them anymore in the 80s after the second one, so they killed her character off, and then they brought her back in the 90s with a reboot of the continuity. And there's a remake, and then they rebooted the continuity again, and shit. But
yeah, whatever.
but like
yeah.
for the most part, you go to these movies to see the villains, right? It's the Freddy show.
You clearly go to see this one to see these two villains have a big WWE SmackDown.
Yeah,
with lots of blood.
Yeah. So after a
lots
while,
of very dark blood.
you can't be scared of these things if the whole reason you're going to see the movie is to see how Freddy's going to kill people. Like, what cool and interesting way is Freddy going to murder people this time? Is he going to turn them into a cartoon and throw them through a paper shredder? He might.
He could.
He does. Well, he does turn a kid into a cartoon in one of them.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah. Doesn't paper shred them, though. It would have been too hard to do, probably. But,
oh, yeah, fair.
You know, that kind of thing, right?
Well, I don't know. I just feel like in this movie, Jason is still kind of scary. He's the one wearing a mask and never talking, so he's got the kind of like the mysterious part of him still in some ways. But Freddy is just actually annoying and gross, which really takes away from being scared of him for me.
Yeah. Well, Freddy's the only one of these like major slasher villains that actually talks, right? Michael Myers doesn't talk, Leatherface doesn't talk,
right?
Jason doesn't talk. Freddy's the only one that talks. And he became a caricature of himself throughout the series, right? Like he was like a rock star. Like there's a point where he's like putting on sunglasses after he kills a girl on the beach, you know, like
wild.
Yeah, he was like a weird pop icon.
Yeah.
He had a 1-900 number that you could call and talk to Freddy.
What?
Yeah, there was a 1-900 number in the 80s you could call, and like Freddy Krueger would lull you to sleep.
That's fucked.
And he was rapping with the Fat Boys and all kinds of stuff. There's a Freddy album.
That's nuts.
Yeah. It's fucking crazy.
Super weird.
It's fucking crazy. So yeah, like he hasn't been scary for decades, right?
Yeah.
It was too bad because I think you could do a good scary version of Freddy again. They tried with the remake, and I think they got close at points, but there's so much wrong with that remake.
I believe you.
We'll watch that one eventually.
When another Friday the 13th rolls around?
No, when another Elm Street rolls around.
Oh, of course.
No, when they do the next remake, then we'll watch the first remake.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
We'll tie it together.
Course.
Synergy. So yeah, they just have this like big old fucking smackdown. Freddy's like knocking the nozzles off of air tanks or propane tanks or something, like launching them at Jason like they're missiles, and fucking like impales him in a bunch of rebar. Why is all this construction material at this abandoned camp?
It really seems like they were, it was like an old construction site. Like they were about to build a building. Like there was like ramps and like a cement funnel and all of this rebar. Like they were about to lay a foundation or something.
Like a weird big bucket on a crane.
Yeah.
That he like swings at Jason at one point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Kind of ridiculous.
It is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Also, the amount of people that just get fucking launched in this movie.
Oh my gosh.
Like so many people get like hit by the machete and just go fucking flying.
Yeah.
Like that's where like the kung fu movie kind of stuff comes in, right? Where it's
like,
was this like a Hong Kong? I mean, Ronnie Yu is a Chinese. He might be Hong. I can't remember. I think he's Hong Kong director.
But yeah, I guess kind of campy in that way.
Yeah, definitely. The like hyper realism wire work kind of kung fu stuff starts to come in, which is fun and cool. I think the ending of the movie is pretty fun. Like we talk about how like a lot of this movie doesn't make sense, and like why is there nobody at the hospital? Like it was just full. It was a full hospital,
lot of
and then they
patients.
broke back in, and nobody's there all of a sudden. And like all this kind of dumb stuff. But I think kind of it doesn't matter.
Because again, the reason you're coming is to see Freddy fight Jason.
Yeah,
That's what the end of the movie is. That's the climax of the movie.
there was a great line in the trailer that I know Quentin Tarantino was very upset that they took it out of the final movie because he was like, that was the whole reason I went to see the movie. Where's the place your bets? That's where Laurie goes, Freddy versus Jason. Place your bets. And then the title kind of slammed in on the... And it was like, when you see it in the context of the trailer, it's like, it's a big hype moment. You're like, oh, of course. I do want to see that. That looks good. And then they took it out of the movies just for the trailer, right? And yeah, apparently Quentin Tarantino was very, very offended, and he called the head of New Line or something and was like, why'd you take the place your bets out? That was the whole reason I went to see the movie, was to place your bets. There's no place your bets.
That's so weird. Weird thing to get hung up on.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I think it's funny. It's a funny Hollywood thing to do.
Fair.
It's like, just because you have Bob Shaye's phone number doesn't mean you should use it.
But yeah, the fight kind of comes to a climax where Jason cuts off Freddy's arm that has the knife hands.
Yeah.
But then Freddy gets Jason's machete from him.
Yeah.
By cutting off his fingies.
Yeah.
And then so he's putting the machete through Jason into his heart, and Jason has just fully shoved his fingerless hand into Freddy.
Yeah.
And they're just locked in this loving embrace of death. And
there's so much blood.
Oh yeah.
Blood is just spread. That was one of the things I was saying when we were watching the movie. I love the blood in this movie. The blood in this movie just feels so
gross,
so dark and grimy, and it's not a bright red blood. It's a dark,
it's a sludge
maroon blood. It's just
pretty nasty.
It's just so sticky and blah.
Yeah,
I love it.
And then meanwhile, Laurie and Will are just dumping gasoline on the dock because this is where the fight has led to the dock.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing there's just a fuck ton of gasoline around in this abandoned camp.
Yeah, just tanks and tanks of gas. Well, you know what? I mean, there's boats there, so maybe it would have been to
abandoned.
Well, there's a boat there. There would have been boats there.
Yeah, but the camp's been abandoned, presumably for a long time.
Well, I mean, maybe they're building stuff, so that's why there's all the gas.
The building. Maybe they were building something new.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who cares?
There's a sign that says Crystal Lake Resort or something, 5 miles or whatever.
Oh.
When Kelly Rowland's we're almost there, guys.
Right.
So maybe they're turning Camp Crystal Lake into a resort.
Mistake.
That'd be a good movie. Jason just hacking up tourists in a Margaritaville.
Yeah. That'd be good, actually.
It's like Dirty Dancing meets Friday the 13th.
Yes, that's the crossover.
Some weird camp in the Catskills, and what happens when you call your mama boy? He goes, "Oh baby, I'm gonna cut your head off with a machete."
Nobody puts Jason in the corner.
Nobody puts Jason in the corner.
Yeah.
Did that bit work?
No.
Okay, I'll leave it in.
Good.
People need to know that we're not always firing at 100%.
I think they know. I don't.
Oh, good. Okay, great. I was worried. I was gonna leave one of the bombs in there so the people would be like, "Oh, they're just normal people." No, but no, fuck us. Okay.
Yeah. And so Freddy and Jason are getting very deep and intimate with each other, and Laurie screams, "Hey, Freddy, go to hell!" and throws the fire.
Oh yeah, she's got this great Olympic torch slow-mo run shot where she like goes and gets some flaming debris from the burning cabin and like runs in slow-mo with the torches in the air like she's a fucking Olympic athlete. It's a total Chariots of Fire moment. I was definitely thinking that when we were watching it. I was like, oh yeah, that music would just be perfect.
It'd be so funny.
And it wouldn't even be out of place because there's like a scene where Freddy's throwing Jason around the dream world with telekinesis, and there's like pinball sound effects going off. Like, it's a fucking goofy ass movie.
It is very much so.
So they set the thing on fire, and then I don't remember how exactly it happens, but Freddy.
Well, they set that on fire, but then they also set all of the gasoline and propane on fire. And they run and jump into the lake and let it all blow up.
Right.
So then Freddy
and then they climb back on the dock, and then you see someone holding the machete. You see these boots and the machete. You like walk into frame, and you're like, oh shit. And then it, cuts to the reverse angle, and it's Freddy. And he's got the machete in the air. Mm-hmm. And he's about to kill them, and then boom, his own hand comes bursting through his chest, and Jason is like just there. He's holding Freddy's arm. He shoved it through his chest, and he lets go, and he falls into the lake. He's slowly starts sinking, and then Lori grabs the machete from Freddy, and she says, "Welcome to my world, bitch." And she cuts off his head.
Yep.
Throws him in the lake. Throws the machete in the lake, and then her and Will limp off into the distance. And then we get a beautiful scene with them back at her house where they make love for the first time. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, none of that happens. The last time we see them is them walking away in like a really far away wide shot. And then it's an immediate cut to just the lake in the morning, and there's fog, and Jason walks out of the lake holding Freddy's head, and Freddy's head winks at the camera. Limp Bizkit. It's the most fucking... there's zero denouement in this fucking movie.
You were given no time to wonder whether or not they were actually dead. And yeah, there's no ending to the supposed plot.
Just immediately flips it. Like, what the fuck?
It's so bad. And Freddy's like smile and wink with just the head in Jason's hand. Like...
Oh, fuck me.
It's so bad.
It's fucking horrible, dude.
It's so bad.
Oh, good shit.
So that's the fucking movie.
That is the fucking movie. I gotta do the thing. Hold on. I gotta just do the fucking... Freddy versus Jason. Oh, here we go. Rotten Tomatoes, Matt, hit me with it. What do you think this got?
Oh.
Bearing in mind, this made the equivalent of $80 billion in 2003.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I'll tell you this much. The audience score and the critic score are close. The audience score is slightly higher.
Interesting.
It is interesting, isn't it?
Did the critics give it like 48?
You are so close.
Oh, really?
A little bit lower. Take one more guess.
45.
41.
41, okay.
And it's a solid 50% from the audience.
Wow, split vote. All the fans of Freddy and all the fans of Jason just split the vote,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a problem with bipartisan politics. Nobody wins.
Nobody wins. Just like
whoever
in this
wins,
movie.
whoever
Nobody
wins,
won.
we lose.
Yep.
That was the tagline of Alien vs. Predator.
Oh, cute.
A good mashup movie. That was the year after this, I believe.
Oh, wow.
There's Freddy versus... I wonder if that's... probably, actually, now that I think about it. Because I know that was a thing that was in talks for a long time, and they just couldn't get it done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this movie came out and again made like fucking 12 times its budget at the box office. So I wonder if they were like, oh shit, maybe we need to do Alien versus Predator now.
Wild.
I wonder if that was the catalyst for it. That's crazy.
That is a good question.
Crazy if true.
Yeah. We did AVP.
We did. It was like our 3rd episode or something like that.
I don't think it was 3rd, but it was pretty early on. I'm kind of curious now. I might have that note still.
It's within the top 5, I think.
Wild.
It is wild.
Yeah. 41. Yeah. Well, how do we feel about it?
How do we feel about it? I think it's craptacular, bitch.
It's craptacular.
AVP was the 3rd one.
It was
You're
the 3rd
exactly right.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go.
I'm so on the fence about it. Honestly, I haven't been able to decide. Cause like, parts of it are laughably blab, laughably blab, blab, blab. My brain fully died.
Yeah.
Parts of it are funny, and then so much of it is just like so stupid, like too stupid.
But while it's being stupid, are you like having a bad time because it's stupid?
I mean, I'm not having a great time.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm not trying to sway your opinion, or anything, but that's kind of how I look at it. Like, while I'm watching this movie, am I like, in mental pain? Like, there's some movies that we watch on the show where I'm like, holy fucking shit, like this is actually pains me to watch.
We have experienced real physical pain. Yeah, I don't know. I think in keeping with our showdown matchups, I'm gonna give it one big pile of shit while you give it the craptacular.
That is one big pile of shit.
All right, baby.
Just like AVP.
Can't always agree.
Well, we did start this with you saying that, clarifying that I am not a horror movie person, but
fair.
But yeah,
I feel like you're probably more a horror movie person now than you were.
I've been heavily exposed to it at this point.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. No, I don't think I'd recommend this to anyone.
No. Even if, like, some of your friends are like, hey, a bunch of us are going to get together and get drunk and we want to watch, like, a dumb horror movie.
I would tell them not to get drunk and that they don't want to sell me any death sticks, and then they should go home and rethink their lives.
Fair enough.
No, I wouldn't. I also just don't have friends that would ever do that. Fair.
But I think this movie there's a time and a place for this movie. And that's kind of the
yeah, that's definitely true. That's the vibe.
Like, if you're like watching this with a group of friends, maybe you're having some drinks, maybe you're burning a little bit of the green. I think you could have a good time with it. Like, it's silly and campy and stupid, and it kind of knows exactly what it is. That's the thing. I think this movie knows exactly what it is.
Yes.
And it's not trying to pretend like it's something better. Because there's definitely a version of this that takes itself too seriously.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's several versions of this probably that took themselves too seriously. Where I think the writers of the script, and definitely the director, they saw, they're like, okay, we like both of these franchises for reasons of nostalgia, but also because they're campy and fun, and maybe they used to be scary, maybe they're not scary anymore. So let's try and embrace the camp fun aspect of it and do something that's just kind of wacky and zany and out of this world, but delivers on the promise of you get to see Freddy versus Jason in a big smackdown.
Yep, that is what we get.
There it is.
There it is, folks.
And that's the way it was.
Always. Wait.
On this Friday, October the 13th, 2023, I'm Walter Cronkite. And that's the way it was. Is that a good sign off? Should I do that in real life?
This is real life, and you just did.
Oh, fuck. Well, in that case, linktr.ee/retrocrappod has all the links to all the stuff. Get on it, get it up you, get it in you. In your ears, specifically.
Get it in you.
Get it in you. Through your ears, into your brain. Let it absorb.
Like your own hand.
Go listen to us while you go to sleep. That'll get absorbed into your mind. It'll become a core part of your psyche. And you'll want to go onto the app and give us a 5-star review.
And then when we die, we can haunt your dreams.
Yeah. And we'll be like, did you mean it? Was it a true 5-star review, or were you just doing it because we told you to?
And do we care?
I don't know. Probably not. Maybe.
Depends on who.
Yeah. And if you're listening to this on YouTube and you're angry that we didn't play the movie, too bad.
I love the idea that one of the many hundreds of people, I'm sure, that have clicked on one of our YouTube videos hoping to watch the movie, but the thought that they would get to this point in the podcast, and only now you're telling them, sucks to be you.
Here's the thing. The likelihood of someone being like, oh, what the heck is this? Oh, and then like skipping ahead.
Oh.
Someone's going to just skip and then be like, if you were trying to watch this on YouTube and you didn't because you thought it was going to be the full movie, suck a fuck, motherfucker.
Yes.
I mean, like, when people comment on that, I either do one of two things. People will be like, you didn't play the movie. I'm like, no, we didn't. Or people will be like, why didn't you play the movie? It's just a picture. I'll be like, it's a podcast where we talk about the movie. We're not a pirate channel. If you want to illegally download the movie, go somewhere else.
Yep.
But thank you for your engagement. We'll spend your money wisely. Link tr.ee/retrocrappod. That's where all the links to all the stuff are. Thanks for listening to this. Yeah. And we'll see you on the next one. Hopefully we'll have a more consistent schedule going forward. We had a little bit of technical issues with the last episode. It got delayed, which is why you're getting these 2 episodes so close to each other. And then
classic tech issues.
Why we missed 1 month, I think. August? Did we miss August? Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is the weirdest ending we've ever done to the show. So
you can cut it if you want.
I probably will.
Just cut it after the Walter Cronkite bit.
Just end it with Cronkite. Anyways, thanks for listening. We love you. Keep watching crap.